me. So in this little old video today, which has been filmed over a few days, so there'll be a few edits, I'm going to be converting these, and you will see the tea staining process, into a small quick journal, which is not so quick because it's taken a few days, but the actual putting together is quite quick. So that's what we're doing. So guys, here we go with a new project. I've decided I'm going to risk it and show you a piece of work as I go along, which means I'll be filming in sections. So for the time being, my nails are pink and fixed, but they may not stay that way by the end of the project. I'm going to be trying to make an envelope booklet. But the first thing I want to do, because I do like Victoriana and I do like that scrapbooky junk journal look, is I'm going to tea stain these. And rather than just turn up with some tea stained envelopes, I thought I'd show you the tea staining process as well, which is why this needs to be videoed over a few days, because the tea staining is going to be for at least 12, maybe even 24 hours. So, dish for adding water to, cheap tea bags, and I'm going to put in about, I don't know, 15 or so, doesn't really matter, just throw some tea bags in. These can be reused, so you can actually use these when you've finished tea staining this lot, dry them out, reuse them again for another set of tea staining, so it's not a complete waste. Some hot water, which I've just boiled up in the kettle, so as you can see, adding hot water to tea, like we're making a cuppa, but we're not. Like I say, this is going to rest for like 24 hours, maybe even. I keep saying like, I mustn't do that, it's awful. Because tea is acidic, if you wanted your album to last, and we're going to make we're going to make a little booklet, you want to balance that acidic out from the tea, so you could add a bit of bicarbonate of soda to help take down some of the acidity. Now I've seen people test this with acid strips and get it literally neutral. I'm not going to do that. I'm no scientist, and I'm not going to mess about trying to balance this perfectly. Just a little bit to take off some of the acidity will help. But even without doing this, it's still going to last years. So this is only if you're making a permanent keepsake for someone who's going to live more than 20 more years. That sounds terrible, but you know, someone younger. So here is our envelope stock that I'm going to use. They are slightly stiffer. They're like reasonable quality. Don't know if you can hear that. Because we're making it into a booklet, we want it to have some strength, and obviously the tea is going to break down some of these fibres anyway. So we literally, not difficult, throw the envelope in, squish it down. At different points I move tea bags to weigh things down as they float up, that type of thing, and literally we're doing that for this big pile. So I'm going to get on with that, and when there's a big pile there, we set it to one side and just let it soak up. Right guys, as you can see, it's the next morning, and what we're going to do now is just lay out these envelopes that have been tea stained overnight. Something I did have was some old tissue paper, so I also put that in, and I need to lay this out, which is... Now if you have a worktop that is not stain proof, lay some plastic down first. This isn't marble, so therefore can just be washed down. You may also live in the sort of climate where you can just do this outside, but again, lay some plastic down, because if tea stains paper and material, it will also stain worktops, clothes, etc. and fingernails, as we know. So I am trying to be careful with this. As you can see, I'm very lucky. I've got quite a long worktop surface, which means I can lay things down flat, and then they tend to dry less wrinkled, which is a good thing, because otherwise you end up having to press them. Where this has opened up, that's okay, because we can re-glue it or even use it in a different way. that was in there, that's fine. That's just a bit of material, it can be used. And the only other thing I'm doing is trying to get this to drip off a little bit before laying it down, just to sort of speed up the drying process, because there's a lot of envelopes in here. I'm only going to get so many across, and then we're going to have to do it again. Oh my goodness, guys, my builder put a mount on the ceiling in my office so that my camera can be overhead. I'm super excited. I'm hoping that the microphone lead isn't in shot now. Never mind. So anyway, never mind. I'll check later. And if it is, it is. I mean, you know, one of those things. Overnight, I showed you some tea staining, and then this morning, same video, I know, we took them out and we dried them on the brick breakfast bar, and I managed to get everything on the breakfast bar, which I was amazed at. And these are now dry-ish. These are slightly damp because, as you can see, these envelopes are flat, and the reason they are damp is I put them under, once they were basically dry, I put them under a really heavy book to press them down, because if you don't, they end up being quite crinkly and wrinkly and not very easy to work with. These will still press even though they're not damp. So this isn't the envelopes, this is just that old tissue paper that I just threw in there, and actually, considering it was scrunched up and in a ball and soaking wet, and I struggled to get it out of the tea stain, you know, and it's only ripped slightly. That's awesome. I'm going to use that for texture in another project, which will be part of this one anyway, but maybe a separate video. You'll see, just keep following, bear with me. So these, as you can see, when you tea stain, you can end up losing the glue from the envelopes. This isn't an issue because you've still got the basic outline and you can just re-glue them. That's no problem, and in fact you don't necessarily want too much stickiness on these bits anyway. You could also, depending on what you're using them for, end up covering them with other papers and maybe just leaving an edge showing through so that you get a pattern. We'll do that later on this video so you can see how that would look. I'm not using that for this particular project. I could do, but the reason being is what I'm putting into the album journal, I don't know what to call it, envelope journal. What I'm putting into it is quite decorative in itself, so I kind of want it to have a plainer background. But the reason I'm just sorting these is I am going to, and making lots of noise because it's kind of ASMR-y, all that kind of lovely crinkliness. If they rip, it doesn't matter. I have a scrap box, use those for other decorative things, so not to worry about if they rip. I will be showing you that in this video or the accompanying video, and what we use scraps for, or one of the things I can use scraps for. They can, as you can tell, they stain different colours, some with rips. None of that's an issue. This one's opened up, don't mind. I could even use that one as a template to cut my own envelopes from paper anyway, or back it or whatever. There's some more scraps there. That I just threw in because it was a piece of actually that's fiberglass which I use on my nails and then gel them over the top. But this isn't sticky mounted fiberglass, it's just literally a set, and I found that I'm no good at putting that on. The sticky mounted stuff I'm really good with. This, it slides all over the place on the resin and drives me insane, so I've decided I'm just going to use it as part of the craft projects rather than waste it, because it's got a nice texture to it, and when you're doing little bits of a texture is quite nice in this type of junk journaling, so I threw that in. This I've put together so I can weigh that down, so I will do that in a minute. I will just put it to one side for the moment and show you what we're doing. So we're going to make this, ignore all these bits, that's another project. we're going to make this very, very simple envelope journal. Now, I may be adding to this because it's a gift, but you could just literally, if you wanted to, make the journal itself. I did get this from another craft channel. I will try to remember who and what links, etc., and put them in the description, because I do want to give people credit. I just watch so many YouTube. I spend my whole life watching YouTube, different things, not just craft, crime, news, tarot, you name it, I watch it. More than I do. I can't remember the last time I watched a TV series or anything like that. So it's a question with me of my memory is shot for some reason. I never remember. If you asked me the last film I watched, I wouldn't be able to name it, even if it was yesterday. I just have a really, really bad memory. So I will go through my subscription list and pick up the links for anyone that I may have seen this on. I don't know that I can guarantee which one I saw it on, but I know I saw someone else doing it and just thought, God, that's neat. That's so simple. They did it with just a few because it was a demonstration. I know that I want to do a 12-month journal. So I know that I want there to be 12 pages. And the way you put it together, you will see that you get these little pockets for envelopes. Obviously this needs gluing down now because it's come apart because of that tea process. And the way you put it together, but you also get just like a blank side, which when I show you what the project is, you'll realise that maybe I need more than 12 sides in the whole book, which is why I might adapt this to suit this particular project. But you could literally use this as a 12-month journal. Well, how does that work? Because if that's a whole year, that's not a lot of writing. But this is like a journal for people who don't journal. So, and that's kind of what I'm making as a gift, because I don't think the person I'm sending it to journals. So if you don't journal, being faced with, like I used to buy myself one every year and never filled it in after about a week, being faced with a daily journal is daunting, particularly if you're the sort of person like me that doesn't really have much going on in their lives. So in my 20s, I might have actually had something to put, like which friends I was seeing, what I was doing that night. In my 50s, literally my days roll into one, and they don't. And don't get me wrong, I'm really happy, but there's not a lot to write. I work from home. My deadlines I kind of set. What I do in a day, I kind of dictate. So although I have started to keep a journal and a planner, I still get that kind of icky feeling that it doesn't have much in it. So I thought for people who don't have a lot going on, or don't have a lot to write, or aren't big on writing out all their feelings and thoughts about everything, then a very simple 1 month a page kind of setup is less daunting than some of these big old journals that you can buy on Amazon. Plus you made it yourself. So the way I'm doing it, and the reason there's going to be some more videos, is I decided that within a year there are 52 weeks. That is correct, I'm sure that's correct. And within a deck of playing cards there are 52. I think you're getting the connection. So you could add, if you were to have a month, and say that month was a 4-week month, you could have 1, 2, 3, 4 playing cards, and that's your month's worth of journaling. How does that work? I will show you, even though it's going to be a different video and it's going to be like a craft with me video. I will show you now. So for example, it's called Altered Playing Cards. Again, I saw it on a couple of YouTube channels. It's just that I've put it together with the idea of doing this very simple journal. Obviously this is quite small for this, so it may not work. I may have to use bigger envelopes, but it just, I'm working on it. I'm working on the idea as we go. It's not a completed thought process yet. So what you do is you take a normal pack of playing cards. I actually went to Asda and bought some for the grand total of £2 or £1.50. And then you alter them into little pieces of art. So this is a bit of decoupage, again, a kit that's 15, 16 years old, come down from the attic. I spent last night just cutting out various layers of fairies. I think there are 5 layers in total. I don't think you can really see it, because I didn't use a silicone gel on it like I used to, because I didn't want it to raise, because it's part of a journal. It's not a card. I used to do cards and scrapbooking. It's not that, it's part of a journal. And then what you do is on the back you put a journaling spot. So for people who don't journal, this would be a week, say a week in August, because it's June now, so let's say it's a week in August. First week in August, they pull a card out of their little journal, and then they can just literally write the highlights of that week, which might be going to a friend's for a barbecue. That's it. It's not a massive journaling task, but it means in 20, 30, 40 years time, they can see what they did that week that was fun or nice or interesting, rather than endless. That's the other thing about journals, isn't it? I kept diaries when I was a kid or teenager, and I haven't got them now because they're just endless, kind of who you've got a crush on and how they're ignoring you, and they're funny but they're not very informative 40 years later. They don't prompt any real memories. They talk about people like you'll remember them forever. So I just thought this would be a more adult way to keep a diary, keep a little memento, a journal. Plus, if it's a junk journal, there can be other bits added. You can even, and I probably will, put in some actual journaling pages and stitch those in, so you make like signatures to go within it, and then cover it properly to make it a proper hardback. As you can see, as it grows, this doesn't stay together properly. I will show you how this has gone together. So each signature, this is one signature, I suppose. I could do four seasons, and then add papers to each one, and then eventually sew all four into a harder cover, and that might be the way I go. Like I said, I'm literally making these videos as we go along, so I could change my mind in the middle of a video and I'm still going to post the video, because whatever I've done will be useful for something else. For example, I remember the person I'm making this project for, I remembered actually something they really, really like, and it's got nothing to do with Victoriana. So I kind of suddenly had a thought today, should I start again with something they actually I know they really like, or should I just carry on because I have a deadline? I haven't even decided the answer to that question yet, I know. So we're going to make some later anyway on a different video, but here are just some of these little cards. Some I've backed, some I haven't backed, because they are literally hot off the press. I did 3 last night. I'm not hugely, I can oil paint, but I can't watercolour, and I can't draw, I can't even doodle, and I certainly can't do posh fancy handwriting, which is something I think I might set myself as another challenge, to learn how to do nice script, so that my journal, which is another aspect to this channel that I'm going to be doing, looks a bit better than it does currently. Because I've seen people do beautiful kind of journals and planners with all this fancy script, and when I try to do it, it looks like a child has tried to do fancy script. So maybe I need to teach myself that. Anyway, these are not hugely artistic, they're just layering up scraps, literally scraps, from my scrap box, which we will do, like I say, in another video. And then just sticking them all together on these playing cards. I'm always leaving, you don't have to, but because it's altered playing cards, I thought I'd leave a bit of the playing card showing in whatever design I do, so that you know it's a playing card. You could cover it all, front and back, and then it'll just look like a tag, a book tag, that kind of thing. So it's up to you, but I've decided to alter them in a way that you can still see it's a playing card. I don't know why, because I don't think they play cards. It's just a thing. So the idea is you just alter them with different kind of designs. Obviously, I've stuck kind of quite to the Victoriana, but thinking about this person, maybe I could get away with a mix-up, so that throughout the journal we get some modern designs and some funky designs and some Victoriana, or maybe I should stick to a theme, and in which case I might do a whole new set and just do modern, and then these would be plain white envelopes rather than tea stained. I'm still making decisions. I am still making decisions about this, as you can tell. This was a joker card because I messed up a card and did it completely wrong, but I still need 52 if they're going to represent a week of the year. So I ended up using one of the joker cards, and that I showed you it earlier, but that fiberglass is actually on this card. I don't know if you can see it, but I lined it over the top of the design and then just stamped a bit of stain over it, and I've sort of backed that one as well. So that one's basically good to go. And when they're drying, I wrap them. That's where I got them out of. I call this greaseproof paper. Some people call it kitchen paper. Americans call it parchment paper. Some people call it waxed paper. It's non-stick basically. So if you've got wet glue on here, even if you've wiped it up a bit and it's damp and you want to press it flat like I've had to with these, I literally wrap the card in that and then put it under some heavy books, and then when you take it out, instead of being all wrinkly and out of shape, it's kind of back to a nice flat shape. That's another design. Another one with a bit of ribbon. I actually used in my daughter's junk journal packaging ribbon. I got some new towels from eBay, really cheap ones, but they came with like ribbon wrapped around and cardboard, so I kept the ribbon and used that to make a bookmark and cover a bit of her journal with it. So it's amazing what you can find. So this is actually ribbon. Don't know where it's from, it's years old. Bit of old scrapbooking paper, and this time, because it's not so stained up, I kept the back white. So in some of them I've got tea stained, others I've got non-tea stained, which is why I've got the idea that maybe I could do some grungy, some non-grungy. I've yet to decide. Maybe I could do some real modern funky designs, and therefore the joy is in the art itself rather than sticking to a genre. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think. There are some more, I just haven't pulled them out to show you because I've got a deadline on this and there are 52 to do, which is why we might do some on camera later together, and I'll just chat as I do them while I make decisions. Another one which is just literally torn up bits of tea stain paper. Another paper which actually is a Christmas paper. This is a Christmas paper. I just cut round a bit of it to kind of collage it on a bit, and fully covered the back of this one, but with the tea stain. This one I'm quite proud of because it's got, I got this 3D thing that I found, bauble. So obviously this is going to be a Christmas one. Some sort of fleur-de-lis design, stained this a bit purple, don't know why. This I haven't backed yet, but before I stuck this down, I also found a couple of beads and a safety pin and stuck this over the beads and safety pin to kind of secure those, so you've got like a real kind of jingly jangly card. So those are something we'll be doing later. Well, not all of them, but some of them, and that's why I'm doing this envelope journal. But now I'm beginning to think 52 of those are not in any shape or form going to fit in envelopes this size, and do I have bigger ones to make a bigger journal? But then a bigger journal isn't very convenient. You know, it's more of a tomb then, isn't it? So I have decisions to make. For this bit, it's just literally gluing. What I have done in advance, that I think I explained on another video, is I have cut down a little bit here so that when you create the envelope, of course I didn't mark which bit I'd cut. How intelligent of me. This one's definitely been cut at a slightly bigger angle so that when you fold it up and glue it together like this, and it goes into you make a journal with it, or it goes into a journal, you have an easier reach into the pocket. So that's the only thing I've done in advance, apart from also press these overnight so they're a lot flatter from that tea dyeing. And then we're just going to use a glue stick. I have several different types of glue, but glue stick is quick enough for this one. Fold, fold, glue. So just remember to glue along the former lines and no further. Press it down. I'm doing this on this paper, which is kitchen paper, greaseproof paper, parchment paper, depending on where in the world you live, because it saves my cutting mat, which is already a bit sticky, from getting any stickier. So that is one envelope made. I'll make a big pile of these. I may press them again when they're a bit dry so they don't stick together. And then we have our envelopes ready to make up the journal. Oh, we're back and it's glued and everything, and I did put it under some books, the envelopes under some books to flatten them out a little bit more. I think this video is already really long even when I edit it, so I've got a feeling doing anything other than the plain envelopes is going to be a different episode. Is that a bit posh? I don't know, but anyway, it's going to be a different one. So I showed this before, but I may have edited it out. Oh gosh, this is peculiar, isn't it? I don't know what I'm going to edit out or not yet. Anyway, so to make up a really simple book using these envelopes, and I got this off another crafting channel. I can't remember which one. When I do remember, I'll put it in the description. But you literally just slide the envelopes into each other. Now, depending on how many you're going to slide in, depends on whether you really butt it up or not, because as soon as you butt it up, as soon as you get too many, it's not going to fold over properly. So I'm going to leave a bit of a gap, about equal, hopefully, just on this one, and then start to load them in. That one ripped, but that can be used as a pocket on a different project, so it doesn't really matter. You can go both directions, you can go one direction. I'm going to go one direction this time. I did both earlier and one before that because I am practicing. Like I say, I'm a beginner, so I'm just showing you the stuff that I've seen other people do, though I've had an idea of my own, woohoo, to do with book tags, journaling tags. So I will be doing that at some point because I've not seen anyone do it. Now, of course, as soon as I do it, someone will go, oh yeah, there's loads of YouTube videos on that. But I think I'll just go with 4 because I've decided this isn't appropriate for the project that I'm doing as a gift. But I will complete this on camera and make it into a little booklet, and then I don't know what I'll do with it, give it to somebody, I suppose. So I'm just going to go with 4 envelopes to make a booklet, and then just fold them, try and get them equal so they kind of sit together. Again, I might press this again tonight, just give them a scrunch together so they sort of sit inside each other. Give that a shove down now, so I think I can give that one a shove in, so just sort of manually manipulate it a little bit. I mean, these envelopes may not have been totally evenly sized anyway. That one a bit of a shove, so there's one sticking out a little bit. Personally, I'm not too worried about it. I'm going to refold that so I can bring this forward a bit. I want to bring this one just forward a little bit so that my front cover goes over all of them. I'm going to refold it, give it a new sort of thicker spine, which means obviously it's shorter at the back, but that doesn't matter because we're covering the front anyway, and then probably covering the back. So that's kind of all sitting together a little bit. You can tap it about if you want. I'm not looking for perfection, it's a junk journal. And so when you open it, this one was 4 envelopes. You've got double pockets if you want to use them as pockets to put ephemera in, or book tags, or little notebooks. like I said, I cut these back a bit, so you've got a bit more space to get in there. It's not the strongest, so when I sew this together, and I think I probably will sew it together, I may add a bit of tape to make it stronger if you want it to last. I mean, this is just a little gift. I don't think it's intended for a long-term journal. This side's blank, but again, you could add a belly band, more pockets. I've made these from another tutorial on YouTube. Again, I'll have to look up who had this on. I think it was Treasure Books, which is literally just folded and glued. So you get like loads of little pockets within one sheet of paper, and then just decorated it up. You could put that in there and then have a quote or something up here, so you can start to decorate these. This one's got a pocket, and then when you open this one up, you should have another blank page and then a pocket, and then over to the back, another blank page and then a pocket, and then there. So lots of sides. What I'm going to do in the next episode is start to decorate it. Some might be that we actually make some of this and then add it to this and just see how it all goes and see if it gets too big, because knowing me, I will over decorate it. So we've got tags that we could make. These are just scrap bits. I've got whole boxes of scrap bits. These are just some that I've already put together. So that's a tag, that's a pocket, that's a pocket. That was, I was going to cut a circle out. That's obviously for Christmas, so not appropriate for now, but I found it, so I thought I might as well do something with it. So yeah, that'll be next time, decorating this up. But meanwhile, hopefully you've enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, do all the things. It's a brand new channel, so obviously it's gonna struggle a little bit for views. I've got so much to learn about YouTube. I've never really used it for myself, so yeah, wish me luck with that.